Hello everybody, Earth.Otherwise here to continue our journey into game programming in C++, start to finish by Eric Yazwa. Today we'll be creating a simple shader for our simple triangle. Last time, you'll remember, we were able to get a white triangle on the screen, or you weren't if you have certain types of GPUs, but today you will definitely get a triangle on the screen. So, we're going to make a new class. This class is I'm going to call this class Simple Shader. You can call it whatever you like. And I'm immediately going to get rid of the class in Simple Shader, because we don't need it right now. Heck, we might not ever need it. What we do need is string we need glue, gotta make sure glue is spelled correctly. We need fstream and vector. It will become obvious why we need those eventually. We're going to put this in the namespace of your game engine, and we're only going to have a single function, much like our errors file, gluint. That's what it's going to return. It's going to return the program ID for the shader program that we're going to make. And then I'm going to call this compile link simple shaders. A very long name, but that's exactly what it is and what it does. It takes a const string pointer or reference called vert shader file path, which is the file path to our vertex shader, and then const std string reference frag shader file path, and then create the definition. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of this just to make it easier, and namespace otherwise. There we are. So at the top here, gluint vert shader ID is equal to gl create shader a gl underscore vertex underscore shader, and that will literally just create a vertex shader and set that to the identification number of it. As I mentioned last time, identification numbers are used all the time in OpenGL. Let's go ahead and include something else. Let's include our error file. Otherwise error handler. And let's just do a little quick refresher on what that has. Throw file error, throw console error, and just throw error. Okay, that's what we're going to be using. Throw error. So if vertex shader ID is equal to 0, we're going to want to throw error, and then the first is the error word. So let's go with vertex and the error string will be OpenGL couldn't create the vertex shader. Not capitalized, shader. Not vertex shader, vert shader. You know, I make it a shorter name just to save myself a couple milliseconds typing, and then I don't even remember that. Now, std if stream vert file. We're going to read in the vertex file we're going to be creating in just a second. And this is where we pass our vert shader file path so that we can read from it. And if vert file I completely forget how to check these. Just a second. If vert file dot is underscore open, and we're going to want not if it isn't open, going to want to throw error. Our word is going to be vertex file. Couldn't open the vertex file. Check the file name. Because that's most likely what's going to happen if we probably just passed in the wrong file name. That or the file isn't there. Okay, so now I'm going to use now we're going to use getLine to get all of the contents in the vertex file. So std string file contents is equal to empty, and we're going to need std string temp line is equal to nothing. There's probably a more elegant way to do it, but this is how I know how to do it. So while std get line vert file and temp line So yeah, get it from the vertex file. Yeah, the if stream. We're going to file contents. We're going to append plus equals the temp line to our file contents, and then we're going to add a end line, because strings don't do that automatically. Then we're going to vert file dot close, because we don't need that anymore. And then constant char star contents pointer, because the thing we're about to use next takes an array, not an array, yeah, kind of an array of characters, whatever, is equal to file contents dot C string, just so we pass our regular C++ string into a C string. And then we're going to use GL shader source. we're going to pass in our vert shader ID. There's one of them. Going to pass in our contents pointer and null pointer. Okay, and then that just passes our shader over to OpenGL, and then GL compile shader vert shader ID. And then we're going to check GLU int if it's created. Set that equal to 0. And then GL get shader IV. Just, get the information. That actually probably means information vector. Maybe, I'm not sure. Vert shader ID GL underscore compile underscore status and pass in completed. Check to see if it completed. So, oh, not completed. Is it? Oh yeah, not created. It is completed because we reuse that later. If completed is equal to GL underscore false. So if we didn't compile the shader, then we need to go GL int, just a regular int, not a uint, max length equal to 0. GL get shader IV, and this time vert shader ID. We're going to get the GL underscore info underscore log underscore length. Pass that number into max length. And then std vector of chars, our error log. Scroll down a little bit. So this is going to be our error log. It's going to be of max length. And now we're actually going to pass in the wording of it. GL get shader info log from vert shader ID of max length and max length, and pass it into error log the first. And then we're going to go ahead. Is that correct? GL get shader info log with a capital. Then we're going to do std printf, because we're going to print this to the console. Print the sentence, and then end the line, and then print the reference to error log 0. Okay, and then we delete shader. We delete it because it failed. Vert shader ID. And then we go ahead and throw error. Throw error, this error. We'll call this error failed to compile, I suppose. Vert compile. Then we'll go vertex shader failed to compile. And then maybe we can go ahead and... I'm not sure if we can actually do this. No, almost certainly. We'd have to use printf there again. Well, if this is in debug mode, this will also be a console error, rather than a file error. If it is a file error, maybe we should print this to our file. Does this return a string? No, I don't think so. Maybe we'll change it. Maybe we'll change it later. But for now, that will do. And now we move on to... almost the exact same thing. So, I'm going to go ahead and do something that you shouldn't do unless you know exactly what you're doing. Which is, I'm going to copy a whole bunch of shit. All the way up to here. Now see, normally instead of just copying all of this, you'd make a function specifically for it, but we're literally only ever going to do this twice in the entire program. So, I feel safe copying it. Okay, so now we're going to do everything we just did except for a fragment shader. So we're going to change this to frag. Frag shader ID. Change this to fragment. And then change this to fragment. Frag. And call that frag file. We really don't need to create a second if stream called frag file, but just to keep things with the correct naming all the way through. We don't need to actually create these because they already exist. We just need to set them back to empty. Going to need to fragment frag and we're creating our frag shader. Now see, if I miss even a single one of these, I don't need to recreate it. I just need to set it back to 0. If I miss literally anything, then something bad is going to happen, and I might not catch it. Like, for example, if it's in here, if it's in this little error area, I might not catch it, because we're probably not going to get an error. Frag compile, and then fragment shader. Yep. So yeah, if I missed anything... Oh, okay. So, oh wait, yeah, actually, you do have to create it because of... No, you don't. Where is completed? Where's the first? Yeah, it's not a GLU int, it's a GL int. I think... What if we control Z that? What was the error that we were getting? Oh yeah, it can't GL get shader ID takes an int, not a uint. I guess because it can give a negative number. Anyways, there we go. Fragment shader is all compiled. Now we create our program. Now this is where my tutorial and Ben's diverge a little bit. He built for OpenGL version 3.0, which targets every computer after 2004, maybe? I'm thinking. And I'm going to target version 3.3 and higher, which targets every computer built after 2008. That's still 10 solid years from the recording of this video. So it should be fine. But it does mean that we do things a little bit differently. So instead of... He uses things like binding attributes, whereas that kind of stuff is done in the actual shaders in a slightly different way. I'll show you guys in a second, though if you haven't seen his videos, you won't know. So, moving on. GLU int. This is the thing we're actually going to be returning, our program ID. And we're going to go ahead and set that to GL create program. And that doesn't take anything. And you need to do this before you do... You need to do this before you do the rest of it because it takes program ID as arguments. So we're going to attach our shaders. GL attach shader. Program ID. Vert shader ID. And then copy that, but with frag shader. Frag shader ID. And then we're going to GL link our program. Program ID. And then we're going to set completed back to 0. Because it should have been changed to 1 every time we did this. So you have to change it back to 0 every time. Well, I mean, you don't have to, because in theory, if there's a problem, this will set it to 0. But I like to make sure that it's zeroed, just in case. I mean, just in case. Fucking... The program runs the way the program runs. I mean, there's literally... Get program IV this time. I mean, if you're unsure of what your program is going to do... then you probably shouldn't be using it. But then again, I don't know all the ins and outs of OpenGL. I doubt you guys do. Link underscore status. This is a integer pointer of completed. Yeah. Oh, wait. Don't need that. Okay. If completed is equal to GL underscore false, which is just 0, then we do pretty much the exact same thing we do as before, except slightly differently. So let's do the usual GL int, regular int, max length. Set that equal to 0. And we have to write this every time because this max length variable is in the scope of the if statement. Therefore, it does not exist out here where we could just call on it over and over again. Yeah, I'll get program IV. Then it is program ID max length. Reference to max length and error. Wait a minute. That's wrong. I was reading the wrong line there for a second. And I also hit M instead of comma. Okay. GL underscore info underscore log underscore length. And yeah, and max length. Okay. What? Max length is on length. Make sure your spelling is correct. That's important. STD vector chars error log of max length GL get program info log. Yeah, that looks like the right one. Program ID. Now this is where we do max length and max length and error log 0. Oh. What the hell? Actually, that doesn't go anywhere. Just a random close bracket there. Next is print our error log. std printf our sentence end line reference to error log first. I forget what those are called. First item, I guess. And then we want to GL delete shader. I'm just gonna copy that entire line there because we want to delete both. And then vert shader ID and frag shader ID because we weren't able to link them. Now we want to throw an error. So throw error. Our word is going to be shader linker. And our string is going to be OpenGL could not link our shaders. And I don't even know what would cause that error. Most of this here is taken directly from the OpenGL wiki on how to compile and link shaders. Ben explains it a little bit but I do not, because I assume that you are smart people who can figure out what this stuff means. I've given you the resources, you guys can use them whenever you want. Now we're going to, now that everything has worked, we're going to detach and delete the shaders. GL detach, because I think because you could use so many shaders, you detach them so that you can literally just attach another set if you want. Program ID, vert shader ID. So yeah, detach, and then attach the fragment shader, program ID, frag shader ID, and then delete shader. Actually, you know what? Just copy this here, and that. And now return our program ID. And there we go. We have compile link simple shaders. So simple, right, guys? Oh, that was way more lines of code than I wish it was. But that'll pretty much do everything we needed to do for right now. So now we get to do much easier stuff. We're going to add 2 new items up here in utility, text files, and I'm going to call it simple vert.vert. You can call them literally anything dot anything. But we're going to add that, and again add new item simple frag.frag. Add that. And this is our vertex and our fragment shader. Okay, so we're going to be targeting version 330. That is OpenGL 3.3. And then core. I'm not sure what the core here does, but it was used in the examples I'm using for programming in 3.3. And then layout. This is actually what we're doing differently from how Ben did it. Ben bound attributes. We use layout, location, 0 in 2-dimensional vector, vertex position. So yeah, instead of binding our attributes, we just use this. I'm not entirely sure what this does. It probably uses some sort of pre-programmed system to figure out what you want to do. Then, just like any other program, we need a main function. And our main function is going to use GL underscore position dot xy is equal to vertex position, and then our GL underscore position dot z because I think they're all 3-dimensional. 0.0, not f, just 0.0. Yeah, I think all position vectors are 3-dimensional. Maybe. Okay. Position dot w, which is just telling us whether it's a point in space or a direction of magnitude. 1.0, this is a point in space. And that's it. That's it for our vertex shader. Now onto the fragment shader. So just like before, version 3.3 0 core. We're just going to output a vec3, meaning it's RGB, 3 things. Color, I use a U because I'm Canadian. Void main. And then literally all we're going to be doing is setting color equal to vec3. And then 1.0, 0.0, 0.0. Congratulations. We've now set our triangle to red. Save that. And now we go to our main file. And we make one very simple change. Underneath triangle here, we go ahead and call GLUint program ID. We're going to create our program, and this is why we had to return a GLUint when we created the shader program, because in order to use it, you actually need to have the ID, and then compile link. Come on, it's got to be in here. Nope. Compile link simple shaders. And our names are simple vert.vert and simple frag.frag. That is what we called it, right? Simple shader ID. Compile link simple shaders with an S. Oh wait, we have to include that. Silly me. Include simple shader.h. And there we go. We've created and compiled our shaders all in that one line. And now, right between our draw call, we go GL use program, and we use our program ID. And then right after draw, we use GL use program 0. Just in case we want to use a second program on later triangles. And you probably should do this because you're going to be using the program literally every frame, so you should unuse it. I wonder what would happen if you try to just reuse the same one every single frame. You'd probably do something very bad. So, save everything. Let's go ahead and build. Builds otherwise first. Oh. Let's see. One unresolved external. It said something about contents pointer. Let's check our output. Contents pointer redefined multiple initializations. Okay, so see, this is the problem you can encounter. See, contents pointer is defined here, and then it's also defined here. So you want to just get rid of that second definition and try again. The problem with copy and pasting. You gotta remember to do absolutely everything. Okay. Built it. Let's hope it works. Nope. We have a problem. Where do we have a problem? We have a problem in error string. Oh. The initialization file is missing or corrupt. Error word initialization. Oh, yeah. We don't have an init file? That's... I guess we must have forgotten to make one. Pop into this. Pop into tutorial. In debug. Heck, we should have done this. I'm going to go back and check on what we did. So I think it's as simple as new text document called init.txt. And I think our first line can be debug. Let's see if that works. Oh. No, it doesn't work. I think it has to be the second line. So, pop this open. Initialization file. Save that. Try it again. No? Weird. Maybe I need to initialize that to nothing. Weird. Okay, we'll have to worry about that in a minute. We'll just have to frickin' change the language from throw error to throw console error. And then I'll just temporarily comment out this second portion. Though it's calling that at runtime, so we probably have an error. Though I guess it's good to know that our throw error isn't working the way we want it to work. Where is... What? 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 Console error. Maybe we could define what kind of error we're going to use at the top of the file. But I don't think that would make this any easier. I think that's all the errors. Okay, let's rebuild. We're probably getting some sort of error at runtime. Yeah, we're getting a runtime error. Vertex file 1214. Do you want to continue? 12142. What? No. Vert shader file path. Are we passing in simplefrag.frag simplevert.vert? We're passing in the right stuff. Okay, this is weird. Let me see what we're doing wrong. Okay, so one problem we were having that isn't the problem that I was trying to address is here in throw console error. When we hit this, we were getting vertex file error and then like 1214. That was because these were in. I'm not sure if they were in the wrong quotations. I'll just try it like that. But the slash was wrong. We were using a regular slash when we were supposed to be using a backslash. Let me just see if they need to be in proper quotations or apostrophes. Oh, I think I just closed something. Oh boy. Anyways, let's hit this. Yeah, no, you can put it in either type of quotations. But yeah, the slash was the wrong way. So that's one error handled. An error I didn't even realize I was trying to handle. Okay, I see the problem. We defined simple frag and simple vert in our engine. We need to define them in our tutorial there. So let's just go ahead and remove them, and then remove them. Pop in here. Pop into otherwise. Find our simple frag and our simple vert. Go ahead and cut those. And I think where do we put these? Let me check in tutorial 2 where they are. Yeah, they're just right there. So in tutorial, paste them. Now we go ahead and add existing item, simple vert, and add existing item, simple frag. Add that. Rebuild. Two succeeded. Hit that. And we have a bunch of errors. So, let's see what we got. An undeclared identifier, GL position, vector fields, selection out of range, X and Y. Okay, so yeah, vert compile didn't compile because we didn't ever declare position. We didn't ever do anything with this. Time for more debugging. Okay. Simple error. Lowercase p is supposed to be an uppercase P. And ta-da! Red triangle. Now that took a lot longer for me than it did for you, because I'm going to be cutting out all the time I spent looking up how to fix these problems online. But you can see what such simple Such simple things can change whether or not an entire program works. This has been Earth Otherwise. Thank you for watching.